became available, the first product in 1907, but mass production didn't start till 1952. Matter of fact, if you look at this chart here, this is how much plastic production was taking place annually worldwide. Look at 1950, nothing. Look at 1976, bingo, 89, double again, 2002, double again, and then look at from 2002 till today to where we are today is absolutely wild. 400 million tons of plastic every year. By the way, just 70 years ago, it was nothing. Meaning, this is not yet a problem that we all know a lot about. The right people know it's a big problem, but they're not talking about it. Very similar to the oil and the tobacco industry. For example, the tobacco industry, many, many years ago, they knew this was a problem. They knew tobacco was a problem. They knew about this early on in the 50s when documents reveal that tobacco companies had internal research showing the link between smoking and lung cancer, but they didn't tell you about us. They marketed kids, they marketed women and minorities despite knowing the health risks, which eventually led to in 1998, major tobacco companies reached a historic settlement with 46 U.S. states agreeing to pay billions of dollars in compensation and fund anti-smoking campaigns. It was so bad that in 2005, they made a movie called Thank You for Smoking, and Aaron Eckhart was in it. The whole thing was about how lobbyists played a big role in making sure you and I thought it was cool to be smoking. Doctors smoke cigarettes and they're so cool. We got to go do this. Well, by the way, oil companies went through the same thing as well. Let me give you some stuff on what happened with oil companies. Companies like ExxonMobil revealed in the 70s that there's a link between what fossil fuel emissions do with the climate, but they didn't want you and I know about it, right? And by the way, many of these guys pay big money in fines. BP paid $29 billion in fines. I think Exxon paid $1.5 billion in fines, 388 different settlements. There's a list of things I can talk to you about. And according to the International Energy Agency, the burning of fossil fuel accounted for around 73% of global greenhouse gas emissions in 2020. But guess who they also hired? A lot of lobbyists. Why? Because there's a lot of money in oil, which is fine. They're being capitalists. But now when it comes down to our risk, our health, right? And by the way, this is oil and tobacco, right? Let's go back to the plastic recycling. Watch this. Remember when I said to you 400 million tons of plastic waste is every year? Do you know what percent of it ends up in landfills in our natural environment? Ready? 60% of it. That's 240 billion. But let me continue. In comparison, U.S., remember how we said 42 million tons, metric tons of plastic every year, highest in the world? In comparison, the U.S. produces almost twice as much as China and more than all of the countries in EU combined. This next one's pretty crazy. More than 8 million tons of plastic enters the ocean every year. It is estimated that roughly 40% of ocean surface is covered in plastic debris. And if our plastic consumption behavior continues, scientists warn that there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean as soon as 2030. This may be a little bit of fear porn by the scientists, but do you believe...
And who has the patent for plastic?
Believe the fact that there's a lot of plastic and trash in the ocean? How often do you go to the beach, you're like, what the hell is this all about? Or you're going with the boat, you're like, why is it so dirty over here? I believe that. 100,000 animals die from plastic entanglement every year. Let me give you a couple more here. Humans ingest 5 grams of plastic every week. You know what that is?
Come on,
That's one credit card every week. Every week, you and I eat one credit card, which, by the way, in 10 years' time, we would have eaten 5 pounds of plastic and 44 pounds worth of plastic over the course of our lifetime. We eat a lot of plastic, folks. COVID-19 added another 26,000 tons of plastic pollution in the ocean. The whole mask and everything that we had going on, that's a whole different story that we're talking about. And by the way, the list is long, so a lot of companies want to be able to say, well, we do recycle, we do all this stuff. Even Starbucks, check this out. Not one of these plastic food service items, including the polypropylene cup lids that Starbucks touts as recyclable, has ever
All right, that's enough. We get the point.